Hey, it's Stephanie, and I'm going to show you one of my favorite ways to take a great tool and play one of my favorite games that I love to play with students and adults too. So, one of my favorite tools is actually Wheel of Names. I haven't used it in a while, but when I went back today to refresh before making this video, I noticed that Wheel of Names, if you go to wheelofnames.com, actually starts with its own sort of great question prompt. So already it's a great way to get conversation going in your class. So the default is that they have some conversation questions already plugged in. You don't need to do anything. So if you just go to wheelofnames.com, you've already got a great activity to go on for your class. So the way that it works is that on the right-hand side, you have the inputs for what are the options, and you might recognize a wheel like this from carnival games or from fairs. And then all you have to do is click to spin, and it's going to pick one of those options for me. Takes just a moment, but the winning option appears up on the screen. Take 4 minutes and tell your partner your life story in as much detail as possible. So already that's a great way for you to plug in a sponge activity with some conversation for your students. But let me show you another way that I like to use Wheel of Names. So like I said, on the right-hand side are the options. So I have here my class list. And what I love to do is copy in the names of my students, and I'm going to go ahead and put them in the right. So now you can see that I've got all of my students' names here. And I like to play a game that I stole from Improv. And in Improv, it's called Story Story. You might have played this game with your students before and called it something different. But basically, the way that it works is this is a great way for your students to practice their oral language skills and their storytelling skills, which then translates into writing. And it's great for learners of all ages. I loved it in my third grade classroom. I've used it with adults. Again, like I said, I borrowed this from Improv, so it's a great for adult actors as well. And the way that it works is you can have your students either seated at their desk or you can get them to stand up in a circle. One person is the moderator. It could be you, the teacher. It could be a student that you choose, and they start the story by providing a setting. And then what I love to do is to go back into Wheel of Names, and I click the Wheel of Names, and the next person whose name pops up has to continue the story. So if I was the moderator and I put the setting as the classic, it was a dark and stormy night, I could click my Wheel of Names. It's going to pick one of my students whose names I input. Give it a second to load. Jean would have to then fill in the next part of the story. And I can choose to either press close, which would keep Jean in the Wheel of Names. If I wanted to make sure that each student had an opportunity to share at least once, I could click remove and it would remove Jean from the Wheel of Names so that then it would be like equity sticks where it's just going to pick from the students who haven't chosen yet. If you wanted to extend this activity even further, I recommend that you look up other improv games that are great for playing with your students. All right, I hope you enjoyed this game. I look forward to hearing about how you've used it in your class.